Back the horses. Oh, here we go. Question. If Farlap was in its prime, it's coming up to a race, okay, in its prime, who won it? The horse or the jockey? They're training with old bloody one because they make a fortune. Horse, jockey, horse, 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 horse,
Jockey. Got the people that back off.
Anybody think of jockey?
Yeah, the jockey.
I'll take the jockey. You know what? Who's in control of the horse?
The jockey.
And if the jockey doesn't let go the reins, what happens to the horse?
Close down.
No matter how good it is, right? So he is in control, wins. Same as when we're talking investment, you learn to control asset. So what we do here is this. Let's go out and buy a property. Okay, we're going to go and buy something. Let's go and buy something. Here we go. Here's a house. Here's a window. Here's a door. Ready to knock? Turn the lock. It's 150K. I'll use the same numbers. So with $150,000, we need $10,000 to set it all up. Okay, now we have to go to the good bank, this really, really good bank that doesn't charge any fees and all that type of stuff, okay? And they're going to charge us 10% interest. And the reason I'm saying 10% interest, because we know that interest rates go up and down, right? And at 10%, it's a hell of a lot easier for me to work the figures out. So we're going to work on 10%, which means we need about $16,000 just to control the asset, just an interest. However, we need a few other things. We have maintenance, you know, insurance and all that type of stuff. That's going to set you back about $2,500 just to set it up to hold it all. So altogether, you need about $18,500 just to control the asset. Okay? There's only 3 ways we can get money legally. But you bet on horses and they let me find otherwise. Okay, so if we have a tenant, they're going to give us some money. And we should be able to get about a 6% return on that, which is about $9,000 a year. It's about $180 a week. Which means the tax man and you have to find the other $9,500. Now we all know if you go to any accountants in the room, jeez, that's a lady too. So, no disrespect. I love lady accountants. I have a wife. It's not an accountant, but means she's really good at taking the money. Oh, you're married? Yeah, good. Okay, so if they do that, you get a good accountant, they're going to get you back about $7,000 a year. Which means it leaves you how much to pay? Which is how much a week?
50.
And you all told me you can afford $50 a week. True?
Yep.
Well, yeah. Okay, thank you very much for turning up. We're going to have some sandwiches. Yeah. As if it worked like that, right? This is what happens. Let's just chuck a couple of things into it. Let's go buy an old property. Get an old one. The old renos. That's what we should do. Go to the same bank, same money. Nothing changes on that side of the equation. Oh yeah, we've got maintenance and bits and pieces and all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's great. Anybody ever renovated a Queenslander or a colonial home? If you ever get the feeling to renovate a Queenslander, lay down, wait for the feeling to go, and stand back up. Because I can assure you it's a very expensive exercise. But let's assume, right, let's assume that we've got a renovated a Queenslander and I did it. When I go to a tenant, hello Mr. Tenant, I've got a brand new property and I've got an old property that's been renovated. You tell me which one you're going to rent first.
Brand new.
The brand new. Why?
Because there's no problems with it.
Bingo. So you'd have to reduce your rent, right? Which means you'd have someone's going to have to kick the tin somewhere. you'd lose a little bit of money. So let's just assume that nothing changes here. So that's all right, we'll pay you the same money. Does the taxman care if it's old? No, it doesn't, does it? Because he's going to say, sorry, all that depreciation that you thought you could claim, you can't. Now, if you want to renovate a Queenslander, you want to go put a brand new roof on it, it's called capital by nature, and it's not tax deductible. If you want to put a gutter on and a piece of tin on and some maintenance, that's fine. You go and put a brand new roof on it. Sorry, because I got stung. Capital by nature. It's a capital gain. Bingo. Capital improvement, it is not tax deductible. But let's just say that you had a really good accountant and you could get about $5,000. Who's it hurt? Now it's cost you $4,500 to control the same asset. Another thing that we do, any bank managers in the room? Just because you're going to hate me. Who's heard of principal and interest loans? Pick an eye. Great, isn't it? That's what you're paying off. Around about 1 to 2% of your property. That's it. Ever gone into what do you do when you go to a bank in your first 10 years? What do you think you pay back to the bank? Interest. In the first 10 years, is that correct? So if you pay back the interest in the first 10 years, and if your property doubles every 7 to 10 years, why are you doing it? Why are you paying principal? Your property's doubled anyway, so why are you paying the 2%? Because we're told to, correct? That's the best thing you can do. You'd only pay off somewhere around about $2,400 a year, which means, can you go to the tenant and ask the tenant for more money because I'm paying it off? I'm paying principal, I need more money. Are they going to give you more money because you're paying principal? No. What does a taxman let you claim? Interest. Does he let you claim principal? No. So now, who's it hurting? Now you're up for $6,900 just to control the same asset. And guess what else we do? We all put it in 2 names. This is what most of us are doing. I can assure you nothing changes on that side of the equation. Can you get more money from the tenant because of the documents in 2 names? Taxman really care because it's in 2 names? No, yes he does now, because guess what? Now you're going to have to halve it. 2,500 and 2,500. Okay, now this only happens in Tasmania, but is there any males had a child? In Tassie they said yes. Quite a few of them didn't want, I'll manage you. But honestly, I didn't mean to say it that wrong, but I want to say this, ladies, if you had twins, you're going to go back to work. Would you go back to work, or would you just have the time off and get the kids organised and then go back to work?
Yeah, I'd go back to work.
That's what would happen, wouldn't it? 90% of the time. How much money do you earn, or how much tax do you pay when you're not earning any money? So now it's cost you an extra 2,500, which is 9,400 to control that asset, just by structuring it the way that we're taught to. Interesting, isn't it? If we could save an extra $600 a year, which is $12 a week, who could afford an extra $12 a week on top of their 50? We could afford to do it? Could we?
Yeah.
We can all go yes now. Okay. That'll make that about 600, which brings it up to about 10,000. And if you're doing that now anyway, and if you could make it up to that, if I could show you a plan how you can control 4 of them for that type of money, would that be interesting? It's all to do with controlling asset. Nothing to do with buying it, it's all to do with controlling it. So is everybody totally confused about this one now? We're all good?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So here we go. Can anybody tell me which one's got vodka in it? I was going to get a drink. That's the vodka. The vodka? Okay, so here we go. Get this out of the way for a second. Just making sure I'm not boring you too much. Okay, so we're going to have a 20-year plan. Okay, 20-year plan. Start here. This is 20, 10, and today. And we're going to go out and we're going to buy the property. We're going to use the same numbers that we've been using all through the night. We're going to pay 150 based on history repeating itself for the last 150 years of recorded history. Properties, A-grade properties, have doubled every 7 to 10. So we know we paid 150, interest only. It's going to 300. We still owe 150. The next 10 years, it'll go to 600, and you'll owe 0. Now, I did this thing before. Who's heard of negative gearing? Right, we all have, right? All heard of neutrally geared? And then it's positively cash flow. What that means is the first 2 to 3 years, this is going to cost you money. First 2 to 3. Then it becomes what we call neutrally geared, which means that it's not going to make you any money, but it's not going to cost you any money. Now you are in total control of the asset. It's like with a horse, you're in control of it now. Because it's not making anything, just sitting there. I don't care if it sits there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as long as it's not costing me any money, because it's going to grow in value. And then normally after years 6 to 7,